Hello and welcome to week number 4 for CIT 170. This week we will learn how to write queries in Microsoft Access. We will be using the database you created for the previous week's assignment. So before we get into the actual week 4, I want to take you back to the folder where we have the assignment from last week. I think it might be easier from this point forward if I start a naming convention. So let's do this. Let's take this one, let's right click on it, and we're going to rename it. We want to keep your name on there. And this was actually for HW-Access-01. That was for that assignment. Okay, I don't need this zip file anymore, so I'm just going to right click and delete it. Now I want to make a copy of this so that way I'm working with my new one and I don't mess up this assignment, so if I ever have to start over I have this file in its original condition. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to copy, and in the blank area I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. And now notice how it puts a name copy on there, so we're going to rename this one. Right click, rename, and let's make this one 2. And this is the one I'm going to double click and open. So we're starting with this one, and if you recall we created these tables from scratch. I'm going to Database Tools, and when I look at relationships, if you remember, we created primary keys, we created lookups. That's what created the relationship lines between these, the joins. Okay. So if I put it over here, it might fit a little bit better. There we go. So get it all to fit. And we're going to be working with this now and creating queries. And the nice thing is, since we've already created the joins between the tables, these will be very helpful in our queries. So I'm going to go ahead and save this new layout. And let's go back over to Blackboard and let's go ahead and drill down into week 4. Okay, now here we go. I have several gcflearnfree.org videos that I want you to watch before you complete this assignment with me. So one of the tips I'd like to offer is a way to make it more efficient when you're watching these videos. So let me go ahead and click on this. And when the video loads, there is an option where you can adjust the speed. Okay, so we can adjust the speed of a video, and I wanted to make sure you are aware of this. So when you're on the gcflearnfree.org website, you're going to click the play button, and then down here, settings, we go to speed, and you can bump it up twice the speed. We can do twice the speed. We can go half the speed, so you can adjust this because sometimes things may be moving at a faster pace than you would like or slower. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of this, okay, that you can adjust this. Okay, so that's that. And now like I said, expect you to watch all of these because I am not going to go into great detail. These cover all the details. I'm just going to quickly kind of guide you to what you're supposed to be doing in this assignment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the ebook, and then I'm going to go to page 41. This will probably be page 51 in the PDF. I mean the actual file, because it has a few pages of index material. I'll just type 51. I'm going to try it with that. And I am a little bit ahead. So I want to be on 41. Scroll back a little bit. Okay, so here it's actually, if I click, it's actually page 47. All right, queries. Now, once your database has data within it, queries are the tool that you use to extract and analyze that data. And there are several different types of queries. The easiest one by far is a simple select query. A select query just retrieves data from one or more tables. and then the result is displayed in a data sheet, which looks much like a table. The nice thing is you can apply criteria, so you can tell it to select only certain rows that meet your criteria, and you don't have to select every single column that's in a table. Alright, so you have options to restrict columns and rows. When you are using criteria, okay, we can use wildcards. And this is just a sampling of some of the wildcards. And this is also, wildcards are covered in the gcflearnfree.org videos, so please make sure you've watched those. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to create a query with our database, and we're going to use Query Design View. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Create and then use Query Design. Alright, so there we have it. The next step is we're going to use a single table. This is going to be a single table select query. We're going to be using video titles. Alright, so let me go get video titles. And mine's just video title. I click Add and then I click Close. Now, this is your relationship object pane at the top, and then here is your grid, your query by example grid at the bottom, where you're actually going to build the query. You'll notice that there is an asterisk at the top. Now, if you were to take the asterisk and drag it down, and then we run the query, okay, I want to run it, you see we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. I'm going to go back to Design View, use the drop down, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns in the table. So the asterisk is a shorthand method of telling it to display all the columns in the table. However, this makes it very difficult then to use a criteria to say, for instance, I'm only looking for a drama, or let me look at the categories again here. Yeah, so if I only want to see dramas, I can't select drama because I'm using this shortcut. Okay, so this is not as useful as, you know, listing them out separately, and also in a larger database system this actually causes a lot more work for the database when you're telling it to go grab everything, because people may or may not necessarily need everything. Okay, now to delete this, I'm going to click on this gray bar. You see when my mouse pointer is pointing down now, the little arrow changes. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to hit my delete key. Okay, let's see what they want us to create this query with. Let's see. Okay, we just did this one where you could see that, where I used the star. And let me go back for 1 second. Pull that back down. I want to show you another view of this. So we saw, I'm going to click back on design. We saw when I run it, this is datasheet view. These are the results. But we also have a SQL view. This is the programming language that databases use to process queries. So if I look at this, and I know it's tiny, I always like to throw this in the notepad so you can see it better. Let me make a nice big font. How about 16? There you go. So it's, if I put it all on one line, which it doesn't care about the white space, the extra carriage return, it's saying select video title, so name of the table, a period as a separator, and then the star for all columns from video title table, and then SQL commands always end in a semicolon. Okay? Alright, just want to show you that. Alright, I'm going to go back to design view and repeat here, delete that column. Now, let's see, they want us to create SQL statement corresponds to QBE. Add the following attributes to the lower pane. Okay, we're going to build a little bit more elaborate query now if we're going to be adding more tables. I think I would like to go ahead and just use the other one first, and let's go ahead and just start naming these. So this query would have been created, looks like step number 3. Yeah, they start a new query in step number 4. So let's just call this query. step 3 or something like that. So let me go ahead and I'll just do what they did. I'm going to go up and hit save, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to use QRY in lowercase, and I'm just going to call it, let's just do 03. Okay? It might be better to do. Let's do homework 02-03. There we go. Alright. So our query's here. I can close this, and I can, anytime I want to run it, I double click it and I run it. If I want to modify it, I can open it, right click, go to design view. Alright, so we're going to create another query. This one's going to be step number 4. And it requires us to use 3 tables: video title, distributor, and category. So let's add the 3 tables. So video title, can hit add, distributor, add, and category, add, close. And if you want, you can rearrange them on the screen to make it a little bit easier to work with. Anytime there's a scroll bar, it's probably a good idea, if you've got the room, to go ahead and stretch that out and get rid of the scroll bar so you can see all the fields. So we've got those. Now what do we want from each one of these? Video title, I need title ID, title, release date, and duration. Okay, so title ID, title, release date, and duration. Title ID, title, release date, and duration. Note I'm double clicking these. Double clicking will put them down there. You can also drag and drop them down there. We need distributor name and category name. So I'll do a drag and drop on those. So drag and drop, drag and drop. Now if you wanted to drag one in front of one of these, you just drag it on top and it puts it in front of it. Okay, so we've got that one. It says now we're going to make the distributor name sorted ascending. So distributor name right here, you notice that you have a sort row. We're going to go ascending, and let's just run it and look at it for a minute. Okay, so this returns 5 rows. There's one of them that's sci-fi. And now they are very specific here in step 6. They're saying that sci-fi should be in the criteria. We only want to see sci-fi categories. So we're going to put that in the criteria row. And here's where the criteria row begins, right here. And if it's category name, we would come over here. If you type text in sci-fi, it should put it in double quotes. Oh, I got an X in there. I don't know how I did that. There we go. Sci-fi. Okay? Now, here's an issue you have to be careful of. And that is when things don't match exactly. Now, I've seen Access make adjustments to this. Now, I know that it's typed in there with a capital S and a capital F. I'm going to run it, and sure enough, we get one value. Now, what would happen if they had typed it in lowercase? Like that, sci-fi. And we still get it. So see, Access is actually doing something implicit here that other databases would not do. You can use functions to cause both of them to be put in uppercase, and then you know you're comparing apples to apples. But right now, like I said, Access is very forgiving, and it's going to, accept it either way. Alright, anything else here? So we have sci-fi, it returns 1 record. It says we're going to run it, and we see that it returns just the 1 record. Okay, so I need to save this one. It began with step, let's see, step number 4. Okay, so we're going to save this guy as QRY. It's a nice little prefix to put on your queries, and this is homework 02-04, step 4. Okay, and as you notice, it runs. Okay, we're done with that one. Now, what happens if you don't want to put sci-fi in there permanently, but you want the end user to be able to say which category they want? That would be resolved with a parameter query. So you're allowing an end user to provide a value, which we call parameter, and that parameter gets passed into the query at runtime. So that way it doesn't have to be hard-coded which is what this is. I open this one back up in Design View. This is hard-coded in the query. You have to know how to write queries to go in and change this. But if this was set up as a parameter, it would just prompt the user and they would type something in. But you might run into the issue where, you know, something's uppercase or lowercase, or they didn't type it exactly the same as it, you know, maybe they misspelled it and they didn't put a hyphen in it or what have you. In that case, it's better to have a form, a data entry form, with a drop-down list. And they would choose it from the drop-down list, and then the query would use it. And we'll see that later, okay? But that's the end goal, okay, that we're working toward. So we're going to start a parameter query here. And this is in section 3, and it's example of a parameter query. We are going to create another query in Design View. It says we need the video category and video title tables. Okay, so let's go ahead to create query in Design View. We need a category and we need a title. We're going to add both of those. Okay, now drag the following attributes to the bottom pane of the query. We want video title, release date, and category name. Video title, release date, and category name. Video title, release date, category name. And if we run it, we see we get all 5. Okay. In the criteria section, notice here it says enter the following. The brackets are important here, okay, because the brackets tell Access this is a parameter. So inside the square brackets, we're going to type enter category name. Go back to Design View. So in my criteria row, for my category, square bracket, enter category name. Okay? And if you want to stretch this out so you can see it all, you can drag up there. Now, when you run it, you get this box. Now, if I type in, I'm going to do it sci-fi. Click OK, and I see it. Okay, I need to save my query. Go back to Design View. Let me hit Save. And I'm going to call it QRY HW02-parameter. Parm parameter. That's okay, parameter query. Okay? I need to spell it right. Parameter query. Okay. All right, now if I run it again, I'm going to put in drama. And see how at runtime it substitutes the value. Now if I run this again and I do sci-fi without a dash, it finds nothing. So it would be better for the end users if they had a drop-down list to pull that from. All right. And let's see what else we have. We've done this. And whatever value you put in between the square brackets is what is in the prompt. So when we run this, this is my prompt. Okay, it's very nice to provide, you know, a very detailed, as much detail as you can here. All right, another type of query that I really like to use is a crosstab query. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of scroll down and see the results first. Okay, when we see this, all right, so this is a row heading. The category is a row heading. And then these going across here are the distributors. Okay, they're the distributors going across. Now sometimes you can have more than one row heading. So you have multiple things that repeat over here. And then the categories, and these are counts or averages or sums that you can put in here. So we're going to go ahead and build this. And I'm going to be using, looks to me like I'm using 3 tables. Okay, so we're going to use the category, the title, and the distributor. Category, title, and distributor. Okay, let's go ahead and create this crosstab query the way they have it in your book. So we're going to go ahead and do a create, and we're going to go query design. And we are using title, distributor, and category. And I'll just go ahead and move them around a little bit. Okay, I hope I have them matching the book. Let's go back. Okay, so now we are going to click on Crosstab to change the type of query that it is. Okay, so I'm going to go back and go up here and click Crosstab, and I get more information down here. Now, what field do I want listed first is normally a row heading. Okay, so when I look at this data, how I want this to appear, the category is a row heading. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose my category. As you can see here, it says it is a row heading. And so I'm going to choose category name, and I am going to make it a row heading. And then next is the actual distributor name. Okay, and that is going to be a column heading. If we look, we see distributor name is a column heading, and I know that too because these are the distributors going across the columns. These are the categories going down the rows. Okay, so that's my column, and then finally I'm just going to count how many titles. Okay, so this is my column heading, and then I'm just going to, I believe, count the title ID. Let me double check because that should be unique. We're just going to count the actual title. Okay, title ID. I think that's okay. Either one of those would have worked. I'm a little concerned about you know, in other cases using title because there could be more than one video with the same title, but in this one it's okay. So we're going to pull this one down, and all we're going to do, instead of grouping, we're going to count. Okay. All right, so mine are not in the same order, but let's go ahead and run it. We're missing one. Column heading. What are we missing? Oh, the value. I've got the count, but I didn't identify what it was. There you go. There we go. Okay, let's run it. Okay? So you notice that mine is a little bit different order than theirs, but this is the way when you run the wizard, this is how it would produce it. But the wizard would expect the data all to be in one big query. So a little bit different here. But you have to have either row heading, column heading, or your other option here is value. Okay, so you have to have those populated. As you saw a moment ago, I didn't populate it and I got an error message. So we're going to save this one, and I'm going to call this QRY homework 02-Crosstab. Okay, let's keep going. Now, action queries. Now, you can use queries to add data to tables. Everything we've done so far have been pretty much select queries. They just pull data and display it for us. The parameter query pulled it based on what the user provided at runtime. The Crosstab query does some summarization with some of the data. But these actually manipulate data. Okay, they either add rows to a table, delete rows from a table, update rows from a table, or make a completely new table from another table or query. Okay, so in this case they're giving us an example of appending, but in the next video I'm actually going to give you a file and have you append, okay, to your tables. So we'll do that in the next one. I don't want to change the results yet in this one. Make table is very easy. It just makes a table based on the fields you've selected in your query. So you create a select query and you change it over to a make table and you give it the table name. Update query lets you update values in the rows of a table. Now this, you've got to be very careful with update queries and delete queries, because if you don't put criteria on these, it will update all the rows in the table, or it will delete all the rows. Okay, now let's take a look at one of the action queries in particular. Let's take a look at an update query. And we can't really use what they have here because it is, you know, just a sample, and we don't have this table. We don't have a lot of data in any of our tables yet. So what I'm going to do is just some kind of fictitious thing. I am going to look at the video title table. It has the most data in it, and since we have several of these that are action, I'm going to change all these to another valid category, which is thriller. I'm going to change it to thriller. Now you have to remember that we linked this primary key to this category. Now it's displaying the name of the category, but underneath the hood in the actual table, if we were to strip away this little lookup box, it would have the numeric value. So what is action? Action is a 1. Thriller is a 3. Okay? So keep that in mind. Action is 1, thriller is 3. So first thing I would do is I'm going to create query design, and I'm going to use the title table, add it, close this. And I'm just going to put a few things down here just to show you that we have some values. And then underneath of category name, if you'll notice, I can put criteria here, and I'm looking for, I'm going to put a 1 for right now and see what it does. Okay, so 1 is action. See how I got 3 of them? Okay, by having something in the criteria. Now this is very important, very, very important that you include something in the criteria whenever you're updating data or deleting data. Most of the time you only want to update or delete certain, just a small group of records, not all of them. It's very dangerous when you don't put something in the criteria row and you delete all your data. Okay, you only want to delete certain records, and that needs to be specified in the criteria row. And in this case, if I only want to update certain records, I want to put that in the criteria row as well. So we know I'm getting the 3 records, the 3 action ones. I'm going to change these to 3s. They're going to be thrillers here in a minute. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change this up here in my design tab. I'm going to change this to an update query. Now I don't want to update these, so I'm going to actually delete these from the query. Okay, I want to just hit my delete key. And what I want to update to is a 3, because I know that's thriller. When I run this, it says you are about to update 3 rows. If I say yes, I cannot undo this. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Alright, so what's done is done. Now let's go look at my thriller, 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 thriller. See that? They've been changed. Alright, we're going to just do the opposite now. We're going to change the 3s back to 1s. I'm just going to undo the change I just made, essentially. But let's go ahead and save this, and let's call this query, and it's homework 02 dash, this is an update query. Alright, I'm going to run this. It's going to tell me you're going to update 3 rows, yes. I'll go back and look at my data. No, they're back the way they were. Okay, so we just updated them to one value and then we swapped them back. Okay? Now, I'm trying to find something that I can do a little bit of deleting with. I'm going to close this one because I don't want these numbers to be altered. I want to do a delete query. Let me see what I have here. Oh, let's do it with the state table. That'd be a good one. Okay, I'm going to first make a copy of the state table. I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste it. Okay, copy of state. Okay, right here it is. And I like to rename them so that the word copy is at the end of them, because then they sort together. Okay, so you see state and state copy. Alright, I'm just going to work with the copy because I don't want to mess up the state table. Now, when we look at this, what if you said you just wanted to delete records for Indiana? Maybe we are never going to have a store in Indiana, so we would just want to delete IN. But let's do this the wrong way. Create, query design, state copy, and we want to do a delete. Okay? And if we do a delete query, and it doesn't matter, you can pull down whatever you want. See, this is going to have a where clause where I could have an opportunity, actually I would use the state ID because I don't want to type in the whole name, where it's IN. Whoop. And oh, this is good that this happened. Access has these little, this prompts you, it thinks you're typing something, and it's like an autocorrect type thing. But if you don't want that, you'll just have to go ahead, and here it is doing it again. And sometimes you have to hit a space and backspace. Okay, and then it's not happy. I'm going to put my double quotes in. Okay. sometimes, you know, it's a little finicky, so I'm glad we got to see that. Okay, so if this is my criteria, my where clause, okay, then it should only delete where it's Indiana. Okay, so I'm going to run this. You're about to delete one row and you cannot get this back. That's the reason I'm doing this to the copy. Say yes. Now let's go look at it. Indiana's gone. Okay, now if I don't have anything here, let's see what happens. Okay, this is pretty much would be almost like a star deleting all. Alright, but I'm not sure if this will even run in Access. I've never tried this before because there may not be much left here. Yep, it is. It's going to delete everything. Okay, so if we run this, it's going to delete the other two records. It's going to delete everything. So I'm going to run it. And now what's left in my state? Nothing. So you have to be really careful here. Okay, be really careful. So I'm not even saving this query for now because, you know, there's nothing left here to work with. I'm not going to save that. I'm going to then delete the copy table just so you can see what's happening. Okay. Alright, so we've talked about update queries, we talked about delete queries, we've talked about how important it is to have something in the criteria for those. Now, what do we have? Let's see. That's just all using their hypothetical little table. I think I'll end this video here, and then I'm going to create a video for this next, so that way the videos aren't so long. So I'll pick up aggregate functions in the next one.